If you notice your mind wandering, gently bring it back to the breath. And let's take a moment to reflect on what we covered last week. We reflected on somebody who was a role model for us in our childhood, somebody who really connected with us deeply, who really saw us. And what were their qualities? We reflected on the qualities and how those qualities, that those role models, affected us. And then we reflected on our home and values that we really wanted to bring into our home. The importance of creating a sanctuary. That our home is like a sanctuary. That we absorb information, we absorb the energy that fills our home from each person who is a part of that space. The people who come into our home, the traditions we celebrate. We reflected on not only the values that we wanted to strengthen in our homes, but we isolated that value that is most important to us. So we're going to begin today by sharing what that quality, that value or that quality was that came to us as the most important of all those values and qualities we want to fill our home with. Okay. Who would like to start by sharing what did you isolate as the most important quality to bring into your home? And if I can get this lid off, I'll be able to write it. I'll just take the easy road. I'm going to change colors. There we go. All right. So what do we come up with? Oh, thanks, arms. Much before the old-fashioned, microphone. Okay.
I can start. Presents.
Presents. Okay.
So what first came to mind was presence, but overridingly, I think it's love. It was just interesting to me. Presence came into the forefront, I think, because just with the amount of information we're receiving and having technology with us, parenting in this time, I feel like presence is harder to get to.
Yeah.
And so that came first, but when I asked my heart, it was love.
Presence on love. Okay. Oh, sorry, I thought. Okay.
I said support.
And I think of trust.
I put trust as well, but I wanted to change it to patience, and then I realized that that was right under patience. So I'm okay with that.
Connection or interconnection?
Safety was the first thing that came to me.
I have on my list a lot of what has already been said, but I'll add balance.
I put unconditional love, not just love, but the unconditional part felt really important to me.
Hey, love and honesty came up for me. I wasn't here last week, so this is kind of a fresh reflection, but acceptance.
Trust and acceptance.
Love and an acceptance.
Times. Yeah.
So another check mark for love there, but I think also under that would be compassion.
Yeah, I had 3: trust, compassion, and then self-love was one I added as well.
Yeah, the word that came up for me was caring. I was thinking about creating a space for creativity.
Everybody. Oh, Ashley. Yes.
I want to agree with everything everybody said so far, but I think Deborah and I have really been focusing on authenticity in our actions and our speech. It's been a huge turning point for us.
Thank you. Simona and Marlene.
For me, that would be love as well. What I put as the main value. So you can check it out. Honestly, I was thinking more along the lines of after, my kids are grown and maybe I'm even dead or, far away. What I want them to know is that they were loved. So yeah, I think that's the main one.
Thank you, love. Marlene? Marlene, maybe he's not there just at the moment. Okay. So we got love and trust and acceptance a number of times. These I would call here universal values. And now I taught in a number of countries around the world, different cultures, different age groups. And all these came up multiple times. So I call them universal values. And they're values you actually don't need to teach to the children, in a sense, because they already deep inside know it. But to ask them to have conversations with them about it, to live these values, to bring them up in discussions, to think about how you can build these values into your daily life, into your home, the kind of things you celebrate and how you celebrate. Because absolutely everything we do is informing our children in some way or other, informing them about what's most important in the world, who they are as little beings, what their qualities are, how you trust them. Trust, acceptance, support, having presence and bringing that into your life and into yourself, which is a challenge because presence in a busy life is hard to find. And we are so overstimulated. And so are our children coming into that world. Even little children have, their iPads right? And they can't sit through a meal without watching something because they're too distracted or agitated. So these values, these things that we bring in, if we think about it, really reflect on how can we ourselves strengthen these qualities, right? Because in that way, our children are going to absorb them, right? They will. So I wanted to go over some of these. I wanted to look too, do any of these qualities that came up as your central, most important quality? Because I think you all came up with a number of qualities you wanted to bring into your home, right? Yeah. But these came up as the most important to you. And I wonder if some of these qualities were what you received from your role model and why they became a role model and how they affected you in a more deep, positive way, so that they even come to mind now as an adult, right? So gentle, we had trust, gentle. I'll go through some of these qualities, see if you've got them on your paper somewhere else besides the central one too. More boundaries. That's a good one. Trust, again, believed in me, showed you believe them. Curiosity, a little bit like creativity. And to keep that curiosity alive, children are really curious. What's one of the first questions they ask as little preschoolers? Why? But why? Then you can maybe come up with an answer or ask, what do you think? What's your thought about that? Keep their mind, active in that way, exploring, questioning, learning, understanding, right? Through that exploration. Don't think we have to give them all the answers. But the most important thing is to give them this, deep understanding, belief in them so that they get the idea, I can. Independence, empowering them, connection and interconnection, individually bringing joy, acceptance, again, compassion, non-judgmental, but with guidance. Here's one cooked for us, teaching them those skills that help them to, or give them the message, I can. And they can. They can. Children are so incredibly capable of way more than we give them credit for. Give them a chance, but provide the scaffolding, the support so that they can do it. Caring. Belief. Steady, unwavering, always there, dependable. Following the passion. Love. Showed me love of nature. Kind and patient. Patience came up. Understanding again. Trust again. Trust is huge. All of these are. Decisions for myself. Trust that they could make decisions for themselves. Consistency, dependability. Sees me, patient, kind and loving, unconditional love. Again and again and again and again. So in order to be able to bring those qualities in, you can see the power that it has. Just one person. How those qualities and what they give you stays with you a lifetime. So we might have these wishes, right, that we want to bring into our home. But is it that easy? What do you think? It's a practice. Yeah, it's a practice. Show your children you're practicing, right? You can be honest, right? You might get a little bit upset or frustrated sometimes, right? So give them the message, I need a little space. And I need to take a time in. We call it time in rather than time out, right? So time in is just having a little space. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those daily rituals, right? That can help to hold those qualities for us, help us to be in these spaces, right? To bring these and empower ourselves with these qualities. So one of the ways we do is we might have the wish, but follow through is the tough one. So we set the morning intention. So at the school, we set the intention every morning from the youngest to the oldest. And children take it in turns to set the intention. Because what we know is that underlying, let me just ask this. Underlying all of this, in essence, is there something that we're looking for in essence with these qualities? In essence, what do we want our child, our children, ourselves? In essence, what do we all really want? Happiness. It sounds sort of trivial. It could, because it's used a lot. And for a little bit more superficial things, perhaps. Oh, if I get an ice cream, I'll be really happy. If I could get that truck, I'd be happy. But does that happiness last? Can we depend on those external quick fixes for happiness, for lasting happiness? Can we? We know we can't, right? And yet we're drawn to that all the time. Well, we try to be drawn. Maybe you're not drawn to it all the time. But we forget that all the time, deep inside us, we have that is our innate nature. And research is actually supporting what wisdom traditions talk about, is that deep sort of wisdom piece that we all have inside us. It's like this innate goodness, this innate quality. And that's why you don't really have to teach these per se and tell your children. You just ask them the question, what kind of a day do you really want to have? What kind of a classroom do you really want to come into each day? You want to come into a classroom where kids are speaking unkindly to each other? You want to come into a classroom where kids are speaking kindly? What kind of a classroom do you want to come to, right? What kind of a home do you want to come into? You can create this with your children, and you can create your wish board, if you like, your board of wishes of what you want to create at home. Because that's not going to be created just by you. You are the guides. We need to accept ourselves as the guide. We've had a lot of years here to figure out that in essence, we want happiness. We've had a lot of years now to figure out that these are the qualities we want to bring into our home, right? So we need to be the guide, and we need to help to co-create the kind of environment we want to nurture our children with, right? Take that responsibility. I talked about how in my generation, being a boomer, we kind of broke down a lot of that sort of being the guide. Oh, let the children be free, let them be their own spirits. And then before we knew it was like, and they were running wild and you were going a little crazy with it. And so that's because we meant well, the different generations have meant well, right? But now your generation is in an awesome place because you can learn from the previous generations and find a balance in it. Find a way that you can be more a co-creator, but be a guide. Hold the boundaries clear because you figured out those boundaries are going to keep your child safe. It's going to help them to be able to be more relaxed and calm and balance themselves. But not in an authoritarian way. You have these discussions. So for instance, we set the morning intention each morning because we have to remember what it is we really want to, how we want to live that day. What are the things most important to us, right? So we need to keep remembering that. We have to retrain our minds, right? Because most of the time we are on automatic. We just go through it. We're busy. We got our schedule. We get up in the morning. Oh, we don't have much time to get to rush. You get dressed, breakfast, get your child fed, everybody ready, out the door. And then the day is ba-bum, 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 full, right? I mean, is there anybody who doesn't live like that here in this room? So this is our opportunity to take time to think and really consciously figure out what it is that we really want to create as a space, like we talked about the sanctuary, and for ourselves living our life. And your child can set the morning intention at home too. So we have at school, we have peace spaces. Create one at home, a peace space. It's, if some of you might be more familiar with sort of altars or, having a space where you can set up things that are sort of special, that are symbolic of, things that help to either redirect energy if it gets a little wild. So you can have, your child can choose things like that. Maybe even a little puzzle, the little glitter jars. And there's little different things you can get that, like the slow dripping of some goo is a bit like what you call the lamps. Thank you. Lava lamps. And there's little handheld ones that are a bit like lava lamps too. And they can just focus and refocus on that if they need a little space, a time in. If you need a little time in, you can set up your own space too. That demonstrates it's not just your child. We are interconnected. They are responding to us. We are responding to them, right? So we've got to be a role model too, or try to be, right? And so we're going to also demonstrate to them, hey, you know, Daddy needs a little bit of space right now. I'm going to go to my peace place. I'm going to sit. I'm going to just focus. Okay? Start the day. How we start the day is really important. Intention. So we use bowls for intention. I bought a huge one because I had it at home. And I know the children are going to be using one over there. But this is just a huge one that I've used when I've had big events. But so it can be a bowl of any size. And the children who are in the class over next door at the school are making their own. So they just made, I think last week, they made a plate, decorated it with colors and jewels. And at Tara, all these jewels represent different qualities. And it just helps them remember and helps us remember too. And in the center, they would put the quality they really choosing to focus on that day, right? And that would go in the middle. And you can do it many different ways. So for instance, there's one of the classrooms, you know, when they're in the fire element, then they use the glass stones. It takes a lot of heat to make glass. And we talk about how it's made. And then when they move into the earth element, they use stones, different colored semi-precious stones that represent those qualities when they set the intention. Then they move into water element. They use colored watercolor that they use with droppers and drop into the water. And they see, and it demonstrates every drop, every action affects the whole. And that's what we're moving into, is interconnection, which is the second of our 7 steps that are like the framework at Tara. And it's a framework that you can bring into your home because it's just the way things exist. In essence, in every moment, everyone wants to be happy. Today, what could bring more happiness into the classroom, into a home? So they might choose to use, we've got a lot of tools here. I'm going to show you the colors as well. These are the helpful qualities. For the preschool, really young children, we use a little bit simplified language. So instead of generosity, red is generosity. So you can look at your paper, see what you chose. Yellow is respect. For generosity, the little ones call it sharing. And then when they come up to the TK and elementary, then it's generosity. And generosity is a little different level than sharing, right? Sharing, I'll share if I've got 2 of them. Right? Generosity is a different level. But even the little ones, they can learn more about generosity. What can we do? Well, then when you've only got 1, what are we going to do? Take turns? Oh, who's going to go first? Well, I'll go first. Well, but the other, no, I want to go first, and so on. So you ask them, well, how can we figure this out? Yeah. And you put it back to them. How can we figure that out? Well, and sometimes they'll get to the point where they say, well, he can go first. He can go first because they get a little fed up with it. Okay, I'll go find something else to play with, you know, or put a timer on, right? Timers are helpful. Time is very helpful. Rejoicing. So the little ones call it celebrating. Patience. Compassion is caring at the younger level. Forgiveness and courage. And we're going to talk more about these because we talk more about this when we get to transforming motions, when we really focus on that. But actually, from the very beginning, we will be transforming our emotions because we are practicing setting the intention. Not only are we setting the intention every day and thinking about what we're really going to focus on. And for adults, you can set a timer on your watch or on your phone. And every time it beeps or gongs, you can just take a moment Take a few breaths. And remember your intention. Remember your intention. Okay? So it helps us to retrain our mind. We are habitual beings. So we've been practicing and going along and developing habits all through our lives, right? And so it's helpful to, so these are just, it's helpful to start to really focus on what it is we really want to strengthen in our life and in our home and for our children, okay? So, and then it's got on here the opposite, emotion. So that's what the colors represent at Tara. And so you'll see repeated over and over, the rainbow colors. They call them the rainbow qualities. And when we started, we just had 5, and then we built, you know, orange came into it, orange, and then for forgiveness, and courage is purple. And really what I realize is underlying all the harmful emotions is fear. It's fear. It's fear. Not being loved, not having happiness, not getting happy things that you think will make you happy, you know, fear of losing what you have, fear of not having love, safety, fear of fear of people not loving you. We said that. So underlying all those emotions is fear. So as we start to transform those emotions and become more courageous to look at what is triggered in ourselves, what emotion is being triggered, figure out how to create happiness around us through our actions, what will happen is that that fear will dissipate. It gets less and less. When we're so focused on ourselves and what I want, I gotta have, it's like that fear, they're buying into it, and we are reinforcing that they have to have that thing else they won't be happy. We reinforce it without realizing it. Do you understand? So then they get more and more dependent on being satisfied with external things. External things. Do you understand? Does it make sense? And as we go through, we'll see as we go through how much more sense it might make. So even just setting the intention, in essence, we all want the same thing, which is happiness. And so we can ask the children, you know, and they can start to explore that through stories and conversations and in the playgrounds, you know. Do you think everybody wants to be happy? What do you think? You're learning about other countries or cultures. You know, do you think people, because we have a global curriculum, we're always moving around the world, especially from TK and up, or even the older kindergarten class and up, and the little ones. Do you think the animals in the forest want to be happy too? Do you think those little ants want to be happy? Do you think there's anything that doesn't want to be happy? Does it make sense? Makes sense to them. Yes. Everybody wants to be happy. How we look for happiness is maybe different. The ant's looking for a bowl of sugar or a crumb, you know, but it's looking for happiness, right? It doesn't want to be hurt. Nothing wants to be hurt. And in essence, nor does nature. You can go to the natural world, right? Right? Everything thrives on care, in a sense. So how to awaken that with the children? And there's always countless ways. So setting the intention is just one way. Now, that's what we call in the 7 steps to knowledge, strength, and compassion. We call that step 1. And the underlying question is, what do I really want? Right? And we are nurturing these qualities. We're awakening the children through their critical thinking. We're awakening them to these things that are most important to those qualities. You know? Can you be happy if you just take all the toys and don't share them with kids who are playing what other kids who want to play with you? You just hang on to them. Does that feel good? Does it really feel happy? And how are the other children around you? Do they feel happy? Do you think they're happy? Look. Has that ever happened to you? So nurturing empathy from the very beginning, you know, nurturing empathy, awareness. Children get it. But if we keep trying to pad their life to keep them happy in every moment with the things they they're wanting those external feel-good things, it will never end for them. They will continue to create that habit of looking to those things for their happiness and wanting it all for themselves. So the focus on me will only bring them unhappiness. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like we love our children so much. We are so busy that that's the way we go. That's our default, right? Do you think? Yes. Generally speaking. Yeah. So it's about us sort of really taking that time, setting our intention. What are we going to do? And is it enough just to set the intention? We make the wish. Intentions are like wishes, right? And so we could wish, you know. Okay, it's like having a sunflower seed, okay? I wish this sunflower seed would grow. I want it to grow into a really huge sunflower. I'm gonna wish. Does that happen? Why not? And yeah. It needs conditions. You have to create the right conditions, right? It's not enough just to wish. You've got to actually take action. Are all actions going to create the same result? No, right? Underlying every action is actually an intention, but it might be you're not aware. It's like a lack of awareness. We're not aware of what is underlying every, I mean, what brought you here today? You had to have an intention. A thought came up. It doesn't even have to be a real lofty one. It might be just like, oh, well, I did say I was going to go to the class. I guess I better go. But there's an intention that gets you here, right? That drives you here. So to make our wish of a happy day come true, just a wish, until you do what? Create the right conditions, you know, remember it. Think about, okay, oh, how am I going to do this now? Because I did say, you know, I did make my intention this. So how am I going to manifest that? Right? And from the tiniest little action out to, you know, the biggest project, it's dependent upon what? Intention, the mind. Intentions come from the mind, from the biggest construction or, you know, working on a new project in, you know, with computers or AI or whatever it is. It's all coming from the mind. The mind. So absolutely everything. I mean, can you think of anything that exists without being produced and without being dependent on something else? Minerals. Well, they got to come from somewhere. Where did they come from? The Big Bang. Okay, came from somewhere. Some people think, yeah, it's the Big Bang. Okay. Came from somewhere. What else? What about this building? What about your clothes? What about your very life? What about the sustaining that life? Sustaining the building. Right? It all comes from something and it's all connected. Right? What do you think? So in order to create that happy home, it's not just having the wish to bring this in or the happy day. with your intention. It's actually acting, and certain actions are going to bring certain results, right? So I could say to you now, and you know, stand up without your mind telling you to stand. I remember this one day down in, I was in the big playground, and all of a sudden these two little boys, I think they were like 5, they started running. Where are they going? And I called out to them and I called their names. And one of them stopped and the other one kept running. When I gathered them back, I said, you know, Kai, you stopped when I called you, and, Stevie, you didn't stop. Why? Why did you stop? And Stevie says, well, I didn't want to. And the other little boy says, because my mind told me to stop. Didn't matter what I said, right? It's the mind that controls the body, that makes the decisions, tells your body what to do. It's the mind. It's the mind that creates everything. The Big Bang is questionable. The mind, but it's subject to cause and effect. So this is a basic law of cause and effect, really, right? So for us to think about what we can do now, there's to create this happy classroom, home. So where is that card? So there's some basic things, and I'm sure you've all heard them from, parenting. But it is our job to help our children to create, a happy life for themselves, right, as well. So these are basic guidelines. This was a card that I put together actually for teachers, but it's definitely the parent is the most important teacher, right? Most profound influence on your child. But this is a quote from my teacher who inspired this work, inspired me to start Tara Preschool, Lama Yeshe. Be wise, treat yourself, your mind sympathetically with loving kindness. If you are gentle with yourself, you will become gentle with others. Lama Yeshe. So I think it was, what do we say? We said here, self-love. So we have to be gentle with ourselves, Don't be hard on yourself, right? But notice, just be aware, become more present, more aware of how you're guiding your child, what behaviors you're bringing into the home. Just be aware, create your peace space. So regard yourself as a guide. It's important to, okay? You have a very important role to help your child, to make a positive difference in the world just through becoming aware of how they can transform their home or contribute to their home or a situation, and create more loving kindness. Practice mindfulness, presence, what we call the namaste approach, remembering all beings have that essence of goodness. We're all the same in that way. And it's like that's what we're all, in a sense, trying to have and replicate in every moment. We want to be there in that happy place, deeply happy, but we look for it in ice creams and I don't know. What else? Anyway, having fun. And it's not that any of that's bad. It's just when we just depend too much and believe, it will never be satiated. We will always want more. And in this world we live in, that certainly kind of seems like it's available more, just in your pocket. Wow, look what shopping from home, shopping from the bathtub, shopping when you're shopping. So, it's endless. It's endless. And keeping boundaries is super important for your child. It's going to keep them safe. It's going to help them to feel, where are we? Safety. It's going to help them to feel safe. Okay. It's going to help them to be able to regulate their energy as well, the balance. I mean, all these things, actually. But keep your boundaries clear, be consistent. Otherwise, they get confused. And if you let that boundary go at some point, they will push and push until they shift your boundary. They will. But think about what that boundary is and the why. Always thinking about why. Why would I set a boundary like that? I remember with my children, I have 3 grown children, probably about your ages, and how to keep them safe when we're in a parking lot. I was so fearful of parking lots. They're the worst. It just takes a moment and a child could dash across, see a dog getting out of a car across the way from you. And so I'd always have them just hold on to me right here as I get you all out of the car. 3 children, manage that. Hang on to my, shirt. Don't let go till we're all ready. So have those very clear boundaries. They will understand why. This is going to keep you safe, because what could happen if you run? They know. They'll see. They know. If you ask them the question, they're very smart. Ask them questions, okay? Cultivate curiosity. Let them be curious about their world and discover, all kinds of things. Give them that opportunity. Ask them questions about what they're curious about. See problems as opportunities. When things get tough, see it as an opportunity to grow. You're going to feel when it's tough. You're going to feel it right about here. Right? So see it as an opportunity. And if your child is seeing that you're working on something, that will help them to understand, yeah, sometimes things are tough. Things get tough sometimes. Hard for mommy, hard for daddy. Do things get hard for you sometimes? Yeah, they do. So we can take some space, or even wherever we are, we can take some breaths and just balance our energies a little bit, right? There's a lot of things here, but finding value in your child's input and ideas, right? Part of that, growing that curiosity and that explorative mind, that exploration, wanting to know why about things in the world around them. And they're, as we said, children even younger than 12 months old have metacognition. It means they can think about thought. They can figure things out when they're very young. But if we don't think they can, we don't give them the opportunity, right? So ask those questions. What do you think about this? Yeah, so that goes, give children the opportunity to discover answers and solutions for themselves. What are we going to do? How are we going to share that one truck? Use natural and logical consequences when appropriate. Consequences make sense. I prefer logical consequences versus natural, because they could really get hurt with the natural, and they're going to experience those natural consequences no matter what. But the logical consequences are really important for them. And again, logical consequences are based on logic. They're based on the why. So understand why, it's important. Like I say, just getting out of the car in a parking lot to hang on to me, right? Whatever it is that you don't want them to do, you'd prefer them not to do, tell them what it is, right? And so that they understand the why. I want you to do this. Do you know why? What do you think? Yeah, ask them why. Okay? Ask them, what do you think? So they understand the why. Okay. Guide your children to practice according to their golden rules. So the golden rule is one thing that we get through this logic. How are we going to make all these qualities? How are we going to make our intention real? It's just a wish. Is it magic? Can we make it with magic? Can we? Can we like have a great day just with magic? No, they laugh. They say no. Maybe if they liked the idea for a little bit, they might go with it better. Do we make it happen by waiting for other people to do it? Yeah. What if nobody does it? What about if we started to do it ourselves? Would that make it happen? Kind of makes sense. Does it? Even if one person, practices generosity that day, will that start to make a really happy, generous classroom? What do you think? Should we try? Let's experiment. Check things out and experiment. But logically speaking, it started. If one person does it, it started, right? So it's logical. Okay. Okay. Enjoy life as it comes. Be serious about humor and plan for spontaneity. That's a good thing. Keep humor in the home and keep humor about yourself too. Don't be too tough on yourself, right? Okay? Don't be too tough on yourself because we're learners, right? We're learners. And remember, we learn a lot from our children because our children, they know all our buttons before they can talk. They're our teachers, but we are also theirs. And so we need to be responsible but understand the why of anything we do and keep all the heart open, the unconditional love, and see the child is capable because they are. They are. But if they understand the why, they will listen. They will. They will. They will. Because they're listening to themselves. They've figured it out, right? They've figured it out. But we need to hold them to it. I can't stress this enough. See, I go over and over and over it, but it's important. Embrace that you're a lifelong learner. Never give up and believe in your own and the child's limitless potential. Limitless potential. So there's many different ways that we bring the cause and effect element into the classroom. And children explore where things come from. So anything, we ask the children, can you think of something that doesn't come from something? It's not connected to anything? It's sophisticated thought, right? But it's actually not. So they'll pick something, they'll choose something, their shoe. Well, where does the shoe come from? We bring it into and then you start going through it. It probably came from China, but anyway. But they explore how things are made. It's very curious. It's very interesting for them. Where things come from, how are they made? And you see, so many people contributed to that. And there's some really nice little books too for children that illustrate that. So just to let you all know, I did put together these parent cards, and these go through what we are learning. And this is a summary of these 7 steps to knowledge, strength, and compassion. And then each class we have, it'll have the main points we cover in our classes. And it also has down here suggested activities and suggested reading. So there's some great little books, and just about any book that you pick up actually can give you those. You can talk about them in a way that really awakens their curiosity, the why, just about any book. Even it doesn't seem like a particularly kind characters in it, they'll notice. They'll notice. They'll give their idea of what should have happened, right? So suggested reading. Pele's New Suit is a very old book, but it's a great one, just where that little suit came from, his little clothes, where it came from, and all the different people that played a role in that. When the children are having their snack or their lunch, Then we have who wants to share gratitude? Okay. And where did your lunch come from? Where did your snack come from? And so they take it in turns and they love to do it. They all want to do it at the same time, of course. Have to take turns. Why? Otherwise, it goes a little crazy. So no, one at a time. And then they just explore where their snack came from. And they realize that it comes from so many different people working hard, right, to get that. One of the things I noticed when I moved to this country and my little children, and I started to look around at the different education systems, but I became aware of how the children in this country, I would say, being a developed country, didn't seem to have that gratitude. It was just like, it was more entitled. They're entitled. And if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to make it really bad for you. Right? Why? Why this sense of entitlement was so strong in this country? And everybody loves their children, right? One of the things I realized is that, and the please and thank you, I kind of like tossed away, right? I'm a boomer. We got rid of a lot of that stuff. But then we left a hole. We didn't bring in that sense of appreciation and gratitude and kindness, seeing, wow, appreciating what they had, what people do for them. So how to do it in a way that awakens that child's understanding rather than telling them, right? We want to tap in to their understanding, their wisdom, awaken that kindness. So as they go through, this was a great way to do it, using their critical thinking, their logic, trace back where your snack came from, where your clothes came from, where your very body came from, where your bed, your house came from. Wow, how lucky we are. We're so lucky. And then with the global awareness as well, then they see, there's so much to be thankful for. So I could let you have a little T&P break now, wake you up a little bit, because I've been just blah, blah, blahing a lot. So, but maybe you can go get your T&P if you wish and come back here and then start working on your next section of your mandala. And this will be on what is the framework you really want to bring into your home and into your child's life, right? That will help them to be aware, to become aware of the elements that create happiness, that will bring what they really want, what we all really want, happiness. What are some of the frameworks and the structures you can build in to your home? And I don't mean building walls when I say structure. I think you understand. So if you'd like to take a little break, the tea, for everybody who was here last week knows where to find the tea. Those who were not here last week can follow the others, and you can bring your tea back here, okay? And then we're going to work in silence, just reflecting on what we've covered so far. Yes. Sorry, everyone on Zoom. Did you catch that? Do you know what we're supposed to be doing? No. Okay. So we've been working on these square pieces of paper. Do you see people doing that? This square, no, you can't see anything. This, just a square piece of paper. Yeah. And in the center, we have a heart. Thank you. That's it. Beautiful. Thank you. We have a heart in the center. And then we divide it into 8 sections. And you can do this just, it doesn't have to be a square. If you don't have a square piece, you just got a pad of paper or a piece of paper. You can do it on there for now. And then you can always transfer it onto a nice square piece of paper if you wish. And this becomes your map. This is like your homework. This is your thinking, your deep thinking about this. And so we're dividing it into sections, into 8 sections. Okay. And then the top section, top to the right, is what am I going to hold? Yeah, I'll just hold it up for them. Thanks. Okay. Can you see? Role models. Okay, so that's your role model. Were you here last week? Yes, oh great. Okay, so you might have taken some notes on your role model. I hope you got that piece. Okay, and that's true, you can't see this. The next section. Okay. The next section, oops, going clockwise is a values, and that's where you mark down your values. Okay, thank you. Okay. You write down all those values that we just reflected on, right? That we wanted to bring into our home. We actually did that last week. And then that quality that is the most important to you, you're going to write that in this heart in the center. Then the next section we come to, going clockwise, is interconnection. And that's what we've just covered. Like, how do we actually bring that, manifest those qualities? What do we do to strengthen those qualities, to guide our children with those qualities? How do we really create that structure, if you like, in our home, you know, the guidelines in our home for our children to really absorb that and develop those qualities? Okay, so with interconnection, we'll pause for a minute to just see and get your feedback on why. Why is it helpful for children to understand interconnection? What are some of the benefits? the qualities that they might develop through understanding the interconnected nature of all things. Empathy. Empathy. Mm. Mm. Wow. Destroy the ego. Oh, you can be, but I'm not. This is a secular program. Okay. So instead of destroying the ego, what about creating more compassion? Maybe awareness of others. Awareness of others. Yeah. Which is actually like empathy. Oh, sorry, she had her hand up before. Go ahead, Amit. Go ahead. She'll come next. She's offering it to you. Hey, see, awareness of others. See, there we go. Oh, good, thank you.
To see
Oh, it's
abilities.
not turned on. Is it turned on? It's on? Okay.
To see abilities as things to offer rather than sources of superiority.
That's a good one.
I know. Well, that just makes me think this is one I was going to say, but like my son is like really into competitions and being like first and like the fastest and everything. So that's like really speaks to that where it's like you can be good at something, but you don't have to be the best all the time. And but I was going to say, I don't know if this is the right word for it. Pride, because I know like if you say pride, sometimes that can have a negative connotation. But if you feel a connection and an impact on your world, you're proud of that. And I think that's that's just kicked in. I think I don't know how I would say that.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Actually,
self-worth,
yeah, it's like we say knowledge, strength, and compassion. That strength is belief in ourselves that we can do it, and that's very important. Yeah. So in a sense, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I did it. I could do it.
Yeah.
And we do it. That folds into also celebrating, like rejoicing. You rejoice in actions you do too. You rejoice. We have a whole thing around the 5 hours, sorry, that is where we transform mistakes into opportunities. So it's not bad you made a mistake or you did something wrong. It wasn't helpful, but we can learn from it. And when we learn from it, that's awesome. That's powerful. Because what do we do as adults sometimes when we make a mistake? Do we kind of acknowledge it in ourselves, or do we try to prove the other person was wrong? We get stuck on that, right? Get stuck on it sometimes, right? If it's a conflict with someone else, or if it was something you did, we kind of put ourselves down. God, I'm no good at that. We tell ourselves those negative stories, right? Right. So that pride, we call it, it's not, it's the good pride. It's not boastful pride. I'm better than you. It's like, yes, I can do it. We call it, yes, it's self-confidence, courage, strength, and belief in ourselves. And we also see that we can be teachers and helpers for others. So if we're better or faster than other children, we know how to do something and they can't, we can help to teach them. So it's like this, offerings. We can be a teacher for others. We can help them, right? If we know how to do something. So it's the same thing, really. Belief in ourselves and a pride, I can do it and I can help others. It's okay. It's good. Yeah, so we can put that down. It's pride, but not boastful pride. That's very similar, Zamit. Yes.
So I don't know who needs it more, our toddler or us, but I would say patience,
Oh, yes.
because that's been a really hard one. Is he has ideas and want to foster those, and he wants to do things, and yet whenever we need to get somewhere,
Yes.
having the patience to let them do their thing,
Yeah.
and then also figure things out themselves.
Yeah. And so to explain the why do we have to leave now? So it's also good to create a buffer, that you give them the 5 minutes, we've got the 5-minute countdown. We're going to leave in 5 minutes. And then those transitions tend to be challenging for children, and for some children more than others. And this falls into our next phase or step we're going to be exploring, which is change, that everything changes. And even though you're having a great time now, we need to do da-da-da, so we need to move forward, with what's happening today. We need to change and leave what we're doing now. So that's very important, and for them to explore that. So we're going to go into that if we have enough time. We always run out of time. So patience. There was this one teacher who worked with us for a number of years, and she started a toddler program when she left to have a baby, her first baby. And she interviewed these toddlers talking about the colors and the qualities. And this one little boy, she made a little video, and this little boy is talking about the qualities, and he says, but the really, really hardest one, the white one, patience. And so it is hard. And it's hard for all of us. And I hear feedback from parents where their children come home. They say, you know what you need, Mom? You need patience. So, yes. Okay. They're going to be busting you a lot more than they have been up to now. So beware. Patience. Yeah. Anything else?
I was just going to add, just based off kind of what you're saying, gratitude and the why, the curiosity. I do have one more.
Okay, go on.
I wanted to add celebrations, like you had said, and I think the ways we honor maybe the seasonal transitions or certain events in our lives shows us a lot of interconnection too.
I want to add play as something that we can do together as family. And what I checked that when we're all playing together, it doesn't matter what kind of play. Is it like celebration play or something? Is it like more like theater play or just having fun? Everyone has that feeling that they're seen and heard.
Okay.
And
So that's like that.
it happens deeply as it's just like during conversation. Just when there is joy, there's that feeling that everyone is seen and heard.
And being seen and heard anyway, whether it's play or not, is very powerful. Let's put seen and see and hear, and that takes patience. Sometimes because we're busy, right? And we might not even notice really that what our child is trying to say to us, right? Because we're busy. We could be trying to get dinner ready, or we're trying to get everything organized so we can get out the door, or whatever it is. So to be able to take that moment to stop, to pause, and to listen, right? So we can put hearing or listening. Again, presence. And, that being together as a team, sort of, sharing together is like collaboration, cooperation, being a part of a community, the home community, would you say? And it's kind of interconnection. It is interconnection
And
or
and I,
connection.
and I will add not doing something useful like homework, but something
Sure.
for fun together, like changing this focus of what we're doing together.
I can't really read what's up there, so I'm not sure if it was said. I don't think it has, but it's just my eyes. It's not, Um, I'm realizing all of the interconnection within things helps bring a true sense of gratitude. Did that come up here? Okay, good. I
Thank
feel
you.
it too.
Yeah. All good. All good.
So I'm not sure if we're talking about the things that cultivate a sense of interconnection or what emerges out of a feeling of interconnection. But
Yeah.
if it's the latter, I feel like, yeah, kind of along those lines is a quality of belonging to a greater whole. And and also like the motivation to act with caring or to do for others, just a motivation to take action.
Thank you. Anybody else? Kai?
When you realize how interconnected things are to just the minutest degree, it inspires awe.
Anybody else? What about
So, are we still at the why? I'm sorry, I'm on Zoom. Are we still at the why of why would we want interconnection?
Yes, how we're at the point of why interconnection exists, whether we know it or
So
not.
I was thinking about, teaching our kids that they're not isolated, that they're part of the world, and teaching them that they can learn from others and they're connected to us and to everyone else around them.
Fantastic. Yes. They say that one of the things that leads people to want to, take their own life is that they feel, and a lot of the time through the teens, they don't know where they fit and they feel they're all alone, disconnected. But in fact, scientifically, that's impossible. It's just a creation of the mind to think like that. It doesn't exist like that. So for children to grow up with that awareness that you're part of this whole planet and all the way down to your tightest community, which might be, I hope, is the home that you have, and then family outside the home. So connection, connected to everything. Not alone. You're not alone. And did you say learn from others? Did you?
Yes.
Yes, learn from others. You can learn from others, and you can also teach others. Oh, you're a little baby. Yes, everybody's enjoying your little baby.
Sorry, I can't see anyone else, but
you can't see anyone, yeah. How old? A little girl?
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months. Oh, I'm glad she came to our class. Thanks. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to share? Marlene? Is it Marlene? No. Ashley? No. Okay. So anybody here want to share? Yeah.
There's a sort of an amplifying effect when you notice interconnection. So it starts to create a likeliness to look for it more and more. And it just kind of, it's kind of in all the words that are up there, but I think it kind of, yeah, it fosters its own seeking and answering process for a child.
Curiosity?
Yeah.
Curiosity. Yeah. Seeking and exploring, finding answers. Yeah. Yes. So not only, yes, Ned.
Really need you. We really need you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I remember when we had this, we took care of this little dog. We just called it a little white dog. I won't go into the whole story. It's a great story though. But I remember when this little white dog that was blind and, definitely dementia and just wandered in circles and had wandered across the road in front of our house, and long story. But anyway, but we took care of it and she was with us for almost a year. And I remember when she died, I mean, the great loss, just that one little dog, lost dog that really didn't bring a lot, but just having that little dog to care for and love and just the presence. It's right. They offer something. Everybody does offer something, whether you're, aware of it or not. And they give us the opportunity to feel caring, to feel love, right? And we need that in our life. It opens up our heart. It's a great gift. So that's beautiful. What about accountability, responsibility? Accountability and responsibility. And I think those are really important to learn, right? That what we do has an effect. So be careful what you do. Choose what you do wisely. It will have an effect. And that's those natural and logical consequences, right? Right. And so we want to try, by giving those logical consequences, we want to try to help them to make those right choices, right? By learning that way. But they will learn through the natural consequences. But for them to learn from it, what the result is, and then try not to repeat it again, right? So should we do that? Accountability and responsibility? Both, yeah. Very, very important. Consequences? Yes. Should we put that up here? Consequences. A lot to gain from understanding interconnection. So not only is everything connected and every action has a reaction, not only that, but it's all constantly changing. constantly changing. So every thought is creating change. One thought follows another and another. It creates change in our mind. If we follow those thoughts, it creates change around us, right? Right? So absolutely everything is constantly changing. Do you think that's right? And how might that be helpful to learn? And by the way, with all of these steps, like step 2, absolutely everything the children learn, right? They can learn about history. They're doing their calendar work and the days, and one day is becoming the next, moving into the next and the next. Everything changes. There's this great story where there was a little boy in, I believe he was kindergarten age, and I don't remember the exact date, but I came into the classroom one day and he said, this is my lucky day. Did I tell you this last week? My lucky day. And I said, oh, your lucky day. Well, why is it your lucky day? I'm on calendar duty. Oh, you're on calendar duty. Whoa. Well, what day is it today? He said, I'm making this up, April 15th, 2004. April 15th, 2004. Oh, well, has there ever been an April 15th, 2004 before? And he thinks about it, and everybody's thinking about it, right? No. No. Well, will there ever be an April 15th, 2004 again? They all think about it. No. Wow. This is a lucky day. Yeah. And you know, children really young, if you ask the questions and explore, wow. Yeah. It's amazing. And so that, you know, sort of awareness and wisdom is there. If we stay in touch and ask the questions, they know and they come up with the answers. And everything is changing and every day is very precious, right? So can you think of anything that doesn't change? Well, true, but the way, but that's constantly changing too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, usually I do a little activity at this point, but I'm not sure we have time. We can pick this up from next week. I'll speak a little bit more about interconnection and change and the exploration of change. So in essence, everything is changing constantly, even this room, the solid cement, you know. There's nothing that isn't changing. And why might that be important for children to grow up with that awareness? We even touched on one when it's time to leave, right? And they don't want to leave. You know, they want to stay stuck. You know, well, we have to leave, but because we have to go home and get dinner, we have to go shopping before we cook dinner, right? So for them to start to understand the nature of all things to change, just for this short moment, we can explore how might that be helpful. How might it be helpful for them to understand the nature of all things to change? Mm-hmm. So you just grow up knowing that everything changes, right? So a sense of security, not being thrown off by the fact that things didn't quite turn out the way you wanted or thought they were going to. How many times has that happened? I remember we used to love to go to Hawaii. My father-in-law was born and raised in Hawaii. So when the children were little, we go to Hawaii and we always went to go Kauai because it's so beautiful. And every time we went, it rained. was like, oh, no, this isn't what I wanted. You know, I wanted to come and it was sunny and play on the beach and it rained. So we stopped going to Kauai. Went to Maui instead. But anyway, so change happens, right? It is the nature of all things. But we get these ideas that we can change that and make things solid and to come and turn out just the way we want it to. Guess what? How many times that doesn't work? And so our children and what we and how we talk about things can really lead them down that path of expectation. Expectation, be careful of expectation, because it can lead to a big emotional trauma. Expecting things to be. Oh, question, Ashley.
Oh, I was just going to answer the question you were asking, but it sounds like it's going to be fairly similar to what was just shared. I was just going to say, I think it loosens the idea of things being so fixed, and in particular with things that are uncomfortable. So going through experiences that are less uncomfortable, knowing that they will pass, that they are not solidly there. So, yeah.
Yes, things are not solid. When things get hard, just take some breaths. Find a way to be a little comfortable because it will pass. It will change. It is changing. In every moment, it is changing, right? So, resilience. Would that be it, Ashley, too? Resilience. What else?
Being able to be present in what is because we know it won't last.
And I'm going to put what Ashley said too, is that difficulties pass, right? Again, what quality helps us to manage that? Patience, exactly. Presence, knowing that it will pass. Is that what you said? Knowing it won't last, yes. Like Ashley said, presence, knowing it won't last. Yes.
Being even better.
Can you repeat in essence?
That change is an opportunity, a new opportunity.
What else?
I was just thinking, kind of following on from that first thought of safety, but more building a sense of trust and faith. Gives you that ability to believe in change and whatever it is, and just go with it. You know?
Go with the flow. Go with the flow. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of change that can bring uncertainty. So, especially as our kids are growing, it's important that they know what their control is with change and how they can affect change with their action. Things that, we can't always make an impact on what is happening, but we can make an impact on how we react to it. So it's our reaction that can help instill some additional sense of safety so that things are changing, but that's not necessarily something they don't have any control over.
Excellent. We try to, it's interesting, isn't it? It's like we try to create unchange which is impossible. Or we try to change things just the way we want them, and they're not necessarily going to stay that way because they're constantly changing. So you never know which way then they're going to go, in fact. So the only thing we have the ability to manage with changes like that is our own mind and the way we relate to it, which is basically what we're all saying. And you said it very well. So how to put it into a simple sentence. But agency, should we do that? That you have the ability through your way of looking at things to accept change and to know that you can't necessarily change the external the way you want it or the situation, but you can change the way you're looking at it and you're viewing it. We always have that opportunity, but sometimes it's very tough to employ it. But if we practice, we can. We're changing our minds. We're training our minds to be able to do that kind of thing. It's kind of like magic. Well, I think class is over. We've gone a little bit over in time. And so thank you, everybody. And take your mandalas with you. And by the way, why mandalas? Mandalas represent in different traditions, actually, you know, that interconnection, that belonging, that all those things we sort of came up with here, and even change. So they represent that we're all part of the whole. So when we set the mandala, we create the mandala at school, we're creating that all one thing, very important because the children who are in the program today are going to be doing this. What helps too, and seeing interconnection and change, are showing what we call kindness detectives. So just in brief, and we'll talk more about this as we go forward, is that we, human beings have this propensity, almost like an innate, if you like, but it's not. But that comes from that fear of protecting ourselves, of looking for what is not right, rather than looking for what is right. Looking for what is negative rather than looking for what is positive. That's that negative bias, right? Supposedly, research shows it takes 5 positive interactions to counteract 1 negative. We really hang on to the negative. And it's that protecting that. Remember, underlying those harmful emotions is fear, you know? So that amygdala, that fight, flight, or freeze. So anyway, so as we notice, we build into our class at school, our classes, what we call kindness detectives. Instead of being detectives of who's doing something wrong, we're detectives of who's doing something helpful for the class to make the magic happen, right? Who's doing those kind actions? What are the actions? And they're represented by colors. So this is a little tool I put together, and the children are putting their own little tool together, and you can put your own together. But all these things I show you too are available if you want to purchase anything. You can let me know, and I can bring these things for you. But this is called, we call them heart jewels, because obviously it's a heart. And so this is just this positive reinforcement as we look at, notice positive actions. And so in your home could be, at the end of the day, you could all do it, you know. Who noticed something when we were making the magic happen in our house? Making a really happy house and bringing our intention, you know, into our home and into our day. What did you notice? Well, I noticed that you really celebrated me when I told you that I cleaned up my room. And you were so happy, you know, you celebrated, you know, and rejoiced for what I did. Put that in, you know, so on. So you might put something, or I really noticed, you know, that you were really patient. I noticed you were really patient with me when I was getting frustrated, and you were really patient. Patience for mom or dad, or whatever. And so then you fill this jar up. This little thing is just releases good chemicals in the brain. It helps us to feel good, and it actually has a chemical response in your system. So, a little bit of dopamine, serotonin, all those good things. So you can do that with whatever, and your children, if they're over in the class, they're making their own little tools today. And they'll go home. So now you know, phew, I almost forgot that one. So this is important, acknowledging the positive. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for making this time. Thank you so much. Thank you. And anything, take your mandalas with you and keep adding as things come up in your mind throughout the week. And don't forget to bring them back next week. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashley. Bye.